A very good morning to each and every one of you present here, and also my fellow panelists. It's indeed a pleasure to be here and be a part of this event organized by QS iGauge, and especially in this topic, which is empowering educators to navigate real-world dynamics at the crossroads of academia and reality. Most of us who are sitting over here, we do have the authority and the autonomy also in order to change the scenario of education system, and we have with us a wide variety of members from K-12 education, from the school education, from higher education, as well as industry. So first of all, I'd like to thank QS iGauge for bringing all of us together on this platform and providing us with an opportunity to share our thoughts, share our feedback, share our best practices, and also most importantly, share our challenges from our previous experience so that it would be a learning for each and every one of us who are present in this venue today. So the whole concept of having education institutions and navigating real-world dynamics, because right now, about say 5 to 6 years back, when outcome-based education was the talk of the country at that point of time, the whole mantra of outcome-based education was, we are teaching, are they learning? So that was the mantra for outcome-based education, and I think that has evolved over the years right now. So yes, they are learning now. Whatever are they learning, is it relevant? Is it relevant to the industry? Is it relevant for them to solve the complex problems that society poses? And I think that's where we are right now. So what we are teaching, what are they learning, and how can we make it relevant to the society, to the industry, is what we need to focus on. So before we start with the the speakers and the session, I'd quickly like to give an interesting concept about the half-life period. Many of you would have heard, especially people from a science background, you know about the half-life period in terms of decay. So in terms of education, especially in the IT sector, the half-life period of IT is 3.5 years. So which means what you learn today, in 3.5 years, the chances of it becoming obsolete is almost 50%. So in higher education, which is almost a 4-year degree program, by the time the students graduate, whatever they have learned in their first year is already 50% not relevant right now. So that's the rapid way in which industry is changing. And as academia, we only react to the changes from the industry. How can we be proactive? So these are some interesting discussions over the next 90 minutes we'll be having with all our panelists, fellow panelists over here. So first, let me start with, as we go around, I'll have the speakers introduce themselves very briefly, and then, you can answer the question and also add on to your points, and then I'll also follow up with more and more questions. So we cover, it's a large panel also, so we'll cover each and every one of you over here. So let me start with Dr. Manimegalai Mohan. Madam, what is your idea about real-world dynamics? What do you think is real-world dynamics, and how, some of your initiatives to address them?
I'm Dr. Manimegalai Mohan, founder and managing trustee of SSM Institutions. And my journey of this 26 years, it's been a big jump, I have to say, in the educational field. Because earlier, to be very frank, earlier theory and practical life was totally different. So like if it is anything that has to go, school was focusing on theoretical knowledge, and the family, that is the parents, were focusing on the practical real life. But today, as and how you said, that 0.5 of the IT field is very true, because everything is now posed to the children. So the schools have a high time focusing and balancing the theoretical part of the education as well as the practical. So they try to merge both together because the parents are very busy. So today they don't have a hold on how to create value-based education, how to teach the real life, how to face challenges, and what are the latest upcomings in education. So they are more bound to focus on their work or their business. They forget what is beyond the books. So beyond the books is now what every institution has to focus, because theoretical life is totally, because each one of us are from our own background of education. So how many of us will say that what I learnt in theory, I'm applying it now in my business or in my job? None of us will say yes, I'm applying it. It's all totally different. So that's a important fact that now we have to focus and go about. So if I have to go inside it, it's a big detailed elaborative content which will be going on and on and on. And here now I will say, for all educators, be it school education or be it college education, theoretical content what they learn in school or college is something a knowledge gaining, but the practical life skills what we are going to give to every student, which is a real must and a need, where we have to give them a lot of exposures. For example, we have to bring a lot of skill-based people and introduce to the children. Children have to go for various internships and understand the challenges of life. Then they have to understand what are all the other soft skills that is available, and there they have to fine-tune themselves. So this is what is my today's thought, which I want to give a start and go with it.
Perfect. Thank you, madam. I think you have set the stage beautifully in terms of the importance of practical skills and also life skills and beyond books. I really like the words, like, which you mentioned about beyond books, not only theoretical. Thank you so much for your input, madam. We'll go to Professor Punus George from St. Kitts Group of Institutions. Sir, you are part of higher education also. And, how is it that you identify the real world dynamics? How close is your association with industry? Can you share maybe 1-2 experiences from your side regarding that?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, QS, for this opportunity. Actually, the real-world dynamics of education, are we missing the real aspirations of the generation Z? Because, especially after the COVID, even the low-income people, everybody has been empowered very highly into the internet, and every facility is available to them. Each one is having a internet account and they can browse everywhere. So are we looking at educators? Are we looking at the students who are aspiring for a better life? So here, actually, the aspirations has to be identified. The aspirations are as classically when we do our teaching learning process, we give a very strong fundamentals. We give much on the theory part of it. But now it is an overall development which counts. So in our institutions for the last 21 years, we have been trying to develop lifelong learning habits. It's very difficult. It's actually a very slow process, and the faculty has to lead the learning habit development. So the faculty and the institution has to reflect a general approach that information which is useful for now as well as later has to be processed and selected and taken into account by each individual. So in a way, to empower this, we have to look at the society also. When you look at the society around us, you can find a lot of, an institution, can find a lot of problems which can be dealt with and be meaningful for the students and the faculty to provide solutions. And whether it is accepted that solutions are winner solutions or otherwise, it is a worthwhile exercise. And there is another problem also. Now there are high enabled learners, very highly dynamic students, and we have almost a 30-40% in any class as medium type of students. Are we taking the high learners to the medium level? This is also a question. Institutions which are great, like Caltech and MIT, and in higher education all over the world, those who have achieved well is by creating intellectual property, by creating new knowledge. I think there should be in every institution a strategic approach to create new knowledge. And how to create new knowledge which is valid for the industry, for the society. That is only through industry-academia relationship. And that is also one of the biggest challenges which we are facing. In fact, in St. Kitts, we have got a policy that faculty who are ready to go to the industry can go with all their existing remuneration and be there for 6 months or 1 year maximum. That is enough.
I was about to offer myself for a job in your institute. I can continue being principal and work for 1 year. Thank you, sir.
So, let me conclude by saying that the industry academia gap, which is a very wide gap as far as our country is concerned, then the overall development of the learner by way of the new approaches in new education policy, these are one of the both aspects are the main points which should concern every educator. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. You brought about some really interesting points about the industry-academia connect, creation of IP, and also most importantly, I'm really surprised that you proudly claim that your alumni have the lifelong learning skills, because I think that's a big challenge which most of us are facing. Even we try to enforce it, the whole concept of lifelong learning, it is done only when there is a necessity for it, rather than having it as a habit for the for everyone. So.
Sir, you're talking about
lifelong learning. Yeah.
You are married, sir? Yes. There is lifelong learning by itself, sir.
By itself.
So, at least for men. So remember that, sir.
Definitely. Thank you, sir. Dr. Bharucha, so if I may bring up a controversial or rather question just to liven up the environment. So right now, we are focusing a lot on industry-academia connect. So at the higher education space, we want our students to be billable from day one. So we are kind of training them for the industry. Similarly, at the K-12 level, we are kind of making them ready for the higher education. So do you think education in general, the focus is getting a bit narrow as opposed to being problem solvers and learners? So what is your opinion, your initial thoughts on that?
I approach thinking about education from the research in my own field, which is cognitive neuroscience. Okay, I think too many people talk about what we should do in education, but let's go back. The absolute basic is education is about a child's brain. Let's face it. And we know a lot about how the brain learns. And I can tell you much, if not most, of traditional systems of education at all levels is completely at odds with that. Okay? So because we design institutions based on what is bureaucratically convenient, departments and programs and degrees and requirements, we forget that if that's convenient for us, it's a way to kind of mass produce, put all of these kids into the same silo, into the same box. But anybody who has children, anybody who's taught, knows that there are no two brains in the world that are identical, no two children, even two children from the same family. So education, we as educators have to step back and be much more responsive to what the young people are intrinsically motivated to do. I tell parents, I tell teachers, spend less time lecturing at them and more time listening to them. They will do far better if you get their uniqueness. So I definitely think that it's becoming too narrow. It is a mistake, I think, to just prepare our college students for the jobs of today. I think everybody around this table knows now. It's become a slogan. The jobs of today will not be the jobs of tomorrow. Obviously, we have to get them jobs today. But what I find when I talk to the top people of the tech companies. Now, when you talk to the HR people who come to campuses, they actually have a very different view. But if you talk to the CEOs, they want to hire people who are problem solvers, innovators, thinkers, okay? And the companies themselves have not figured out how to manifest that requirement down in their actual HR searches. Because what they're telling us is, you send us all these BTechs in computer science, most of them are useless, okay? And even in coding, they're useless is what they're telling us, which is shocking, okay? So it's completely misaligned. Let me just make a few points to be brief. I like your introduction. Shashi, we are teaching, are they learning? And now I would say we are at the next era beyond that because all knowledge is freely available. Okay? So the notion that education is about delivering knowledge is now obsolete. We should not say that anymore. We don't deliver knowledge. The knowledge is there, and the students know how to find it, but it's a mess. There's a lot of noise out there. Our role is to guide students through the maze of knowledge that's freely available, to help them develop the habits of filtering the knowledge, identifying knowledge that's valid, and learning how to manifest that knowledge, how to leverage that knowledge for new innovation, for creative work, for original thinking, and for critique. There's an additional problem with traditional education, even what we do now. You said the half-life of IT is 3.5 years. I can tell you the half-life of memory in the brain is 6 months, okay? You may get an A on an exam, but if you're not actively using that information for the next 6 months, if I give you that exam, probably not you, because I'm sure you were, dazzling, but most students would barely get a C. I ask CEOs this, who did BTech and they were highly ranked in JE and all of that stuff. Okay, so you did organic chemistry. Oh yeah, I got an A. Okay, so tell me, they can't remember a single thing. Okay, I did a TEDx talk about this called "The Dirty Little Secret About Learning," which is that we forget, and we as teachers forget that the students forget. 10% or 20% of our students who are much more academically oriented, who think about these things outside of class, will continue to build on that knowledge, and they may go into the field. Most of the students will not, and they don't even go into those fields. Even most BTechs today, 3 years out, they're not in engineering anymore. Okay, so the system is completely misaligned. A couple of points. In my field, the big term that encapsulates what we should be doing is active learning. Get away from passive delivery of knowledge and high-stakes exams. Exams and quizzes and tests are extremely important, always will be, but there is research that shows they're more important as learning tools than as assessment tools. Okay, so I'm teaching a course now. I give quizzes every 2 weeks instead of just the midterm and the final, or sometimes it's just the final end of semester. It's a mistake to put that much weight on an end of semester, or frankly, a board examination. I don't agree with the high school board exam systems. These poor kids, 3-4 years, it depends upon only 1 mark. We are not doing justice to the tremendous talent of this country. We all know about the youth size of this country. Half of the university-age students in the world, kids in the world, are in India. But the stress and competition to get into one of these leading institutions is unbelievable, because people know after that the quality drops very rapidly. And we need to find ways for every child who's motivated to find their thing, to contribute to society, the JEs and these exams, there's meaningful information in the performance, but you lose the talent that you may have from the middle group who don't do well enough to crack the exam, which is a very sorry statement. People use this, I cracked it, I didn't crack it. What does that mean? And what consequences does it have? How do we develop the talents of this middle group? Students who are not motivated, there's not much you can do, right? But many are motivated, but they're all over the place. And they don't fall into the straitjackets that we impose. So we should get out of the way, listen to our kids, and help them realize their own potential and develop, you mentioned critical thinking, analytical thinking, the habit of assessing the quality of information, the credibility of the source, practice in using that information, which is the practical side, because if you don't use it, you will lose it, which is also a scientific principle in neuroscience, use it or lose it. And a last point is I've believed all of my teaching career until recently, that even though the students might forget some principle that I thought was very important in the class that I taught, okay? Say it's a course on statistics and you teach some fundamental principle and you think that they're going to go through their professional life recognizing when to apply that and to apply that. The data are overwhelmingly, tragically false. People do not transfer or generalize their knowledge from one context to another. And that means if you really want them to learn certain fundamental principles, for example, about numbers, so on and so forth, you need to approach it from many, many different angles, focus on those fundamental principles, applying them in different ways, asking them to come up with new ways, rather than throwing the amount of information at them that we do. We give them too much information. The textbooks, we need to go beyond the current textbooks. They are focused on just absolutely jamming information. So those are my views. So in summary, I agree that things should not get narrower, they should get broader. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Bharucha. To be honest, I did not plan on asking you this question. It was purely coincidental, but I think you are the right person for this question, in terms of your passion towards improving the quality of education at the country level. Thank you very much again for your responses. So we'll move on to Mr. Naveen Mahesh next. So I'm sorry, sir, since sir did not introduce himself, I'm just sir is Dr. Bharucha, who's the founding Vice Chancellor of Sai University, Chennai. So I request all the speakers to quickly 5 seconds introduce yourself and then answer the question, please, so that everyone is aware of who you are. So following up on sir's question about how the focus should be on the learning part, and most importantly, students, they forget. And having all-round skills for students to face how they go on to the next level. What are some of your experiences in terms of curriculum enrichment or pedagogical initiatives which you have taken at your institution, which you think are beneficial and also which did not work out? If you can share some feedback and some experiences about pedagogical initiatives and curriculum enrichment, that will be helpful, please.
Thank you, Dr. Anand. I'm Naveen. I'm rather than think of myself as somebody who can influence learning, I think I'm driven by the learners in the ecosystem that I'm a part of. It's a small learning space in South Chennai. Very early in my journey as a teacher, as an academic, I heard a systems thinker say, the righter you do the wrong things, the wronger you become. That stayed with me a lot, and I questioned myself about the things that we do in education that are harmful to children. I was just telling Professor Bharucha that everything that he said just is spot on about children of the past as well, unfortunately, but we must make it relevant for the children of the future, right? As for your question, I had some thoughts down. when we built our school, we built it with porous walls. The walls are transparent. You can see through them. Learning is not, we're not custodians of knowledge, like Professor said, right? I think our job is to facilitate learning and be open to ideas that exist outside. Today, if you want to build a school, first thing you have to go and look for is land, which is irrelevant for learning, right? So often we are looking to solve all the wrong problems, right? So we said, how do you make learning enriching by keeping yourself open to experiences from the outside? So some of the teaching faculty are actually entrepreneurs working in industry and also participating in inspiring learning in the classroom. So we're not thinking of, when families come and ask us, what school are you? Are you an IGCSE school or a CBSE school? I see such a limiting idea in that question itself. We're not defined by the curricula that students take for examination, because the summative exams as an idea itself is a poor idea. And we've done it for far too long and it must stop soon, right? We bring industry knowledge to the classroom, inspire learning for learning's sake rather than for examination's sake. So exam is an unfortunate part of our pathway to gainful employment, but it was not designed by learners ever, right? I don't think anybody likes learning, anybody likes assessment the way it is conducted today, right? So we have people who come from industry to come and talk to learners to inspire them, and that's just for learning and being curious, right? And others for examination's sake, because it's just to get that out of the way, right? And we, as a pedagogy, schools have plenty of things they can do. They don't have to restrict their work to just a curricular demands of a board or an accrediting body. So we have things like children having, I came into education with a white blank slate pretty much, except that I had also gone to school. Right? So I started imagining what are all the contours of an education that children would actually enjoy, and that society will meaningfully value, that will lead also to gainful employment, which current system doesn't. We have 12% gainful employment as a result of 18 years of silly work that we all do, right? But how can you introduce public problem solving? How, often we're all talking about how to get an A star, but you don't know how to fix a street light at the end of the road. Who do you even take it to as a problem, right? Entrepreneurship, empathy development, inclusiveness in society. Often in education, we forget that the things that we want to teach, that society will value, employers will value, neighbors will value, family members will value, are not stressed at all. You look at the school calendar or learning institution's calendar, it tells you pretty much where the focus is, and it's none of those things are the focus that society is actually seeking. So we also use value rubrics developed by the American Association of Colleges and Universities. It's a fantastic liberal education rubric that teaches with deliberate focus through milestones and projects. It teaches things like creative thinking, collaboration, communication skills, right? Ethical reasoning, things like that. Those are deliberate, not left to serendipitous learning through math and science again, actual activities that we try to do. And there are outside our system, these are things I have done in my, I'm not, I'm nobody to lecture on how birds should fly, so I'm not telling anyone here how they ought to do it. It's just my experiences. Outside, I think things like how Harvard does its case study methodology, it's a 100-year-old idea where academia learns from industry, industry learns from academia. I think that's a curriculum enhancement of a very tall order. Medical schools working with hospitals closely, the dual education system in Germany, which is so popular on how vocational education and academic mastery can, sort of straddle learning simultaneously. And what Sai University is doing, like Stanford and Silicon Valley, partnerships, the vision that Dr. Ramani has also spoken about. I think these are all ways in which I think externally there's already plenty of people doing extraordinary work, and we have them in our own city. So much to look forward to. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you so much, Mr. Naveen. Brought about some really interesting aspects and points, which I think would be a good learning experience for each and every one of us as well. Thank you very much again for the, for your talk as well. Thank you. Muthamil Chelvan sir, so if I may address a question about faculty to you, because as educators, we sit at the top, and students are they are there, and our faculty is the key link between what the ideas which we envision and how it is delivered to the students. So in terms of faculty equipment, faculty enhancement, faculty challenges and faculty training, what do you think is the need of the hour?
Yeah, this is Muthamil Chelvan, Vice Chancellor, SRM Institute of Science and Technology. And I have been associated with this institution for the last 37 years. And I started my career at SRM, and today I am the Vice Chancellor. So the main context of a conference of this type is to go for excellence in education. There are three things that are very, very essential. One is the abundant resources. All our institutions are mostly depending on the tuition fee. Why not we reach out to alumni, industry and all? That's one of the things. Then, good talent pool. That's the second thing that we should look for. And the third one is the favorable governance. Now, each one of us is trying in our own way to meet these requirements. But we fail in setting the context. When I say fail in setting the context, we have been thinking on 4 types. Constraints, this is what you are supposed to do, this is the thing that we expect, that's one thing. Compliance, have you done this, have you done that, second one. Number 3 is the control, I am reporting to so-and-so, he is reporting to so-and-so. And number 4th is a contract. I am here for some time, I will continue to keep doing this work. My contract gets over after 2 years, then I move. So there is no particular involvement. Unless you change this concept, it will be very difficult to bring in some sort of involvement in the stakeholders. When I say stakeholders, be it student or the faculty. So as an administrator, I look at it, I change that to stretching. Everybody should stretch. Go beyond the boundaries. Strive to do more. There should be a mechanism for a continuous improvement. It is not that we work for something, then forget it. After 4 or 5 months or years, we wake up again, then start doing it. So if a system is there to have a continuous improvement assessment on their own, then that's it. Or in other words, I say that we should not meet the expectations, we should go beyond expectations. That is the first thing that we need to change from the constraint to the stretching. The second one is about the compliance. Now, compliance should be replaced by what is called as a discipline. When I say discipline, it is not the order. You report at 9 o'clock, do this at this time, evaluate those papers, give this. No, I am not talking about that. I am talking about self-discipline. When you say it's a self-discipline, then there will be an improvement in the efficiency and cooperation. We may be taking n number of decisions during our regular work, but whether they agree or do not agree, finally there should be a commitment towards the decision that has been taken. So if everybody is in this page, then certainly we are moving towards the excellence in education. The third one is the trust. Trust is the gel of the community. It gels the community. Trust people. It is not that we always identify somebody and say that I am the best, so I will only do this. I will not enter this job. Trust people. Once you trust people, then they will believe that we are working towards a common goal. And finally is the support. Support is the foundation of the growth. Mentor them, advise them, share your resources. So when you do all those things, I think that is the path set for the transformation in education. Now coming to two basic things that we have been doing at SRM. Yes, it's always a challenge to get connected to industry because they operate on a business mode. We are in a different pedal. And today everybody wants the industry-ready student. It's very difficult. We have been trying year after year. But the challenge was, we have been trying in a full-scale level, right? One program, the complete program, can we align it to 2-3 industries? That didn't work. So what we thought was, can we co-create a course? Let us take one sample, not many things. Can we co-create one course where it will meet the industry needs, where it will foster innovation among the students, where it will create an entrepreneurship skills in the students, where that will give them an technology updated one. So we were contemplating on all those things. And then we happened to be in touch with 2 companies, Apple and Infosys. So Apple came forward to set up the hardware facilities. Infosys came back to train our students in launching these apps in iOS. So then the challenge came. I'm coming to Sashi's question. How do you empower the faculty? Because they should be a part of such teams. So what happened was, these faculty members were trained and they are certified by Apple, that these are trained resources. Now, when these things came up, the resource persons from Infosys were on our campus. We call that program as Inspire, Engage and Transform. We identified about 600 odd students, gave them a boot camp. After that, we filtered them to 150. Then another round of training session. Then we narrowed down to 50. And they've been working on app. Maybe in the next few months, 4 of our students' apps will be in the iOS. So let us not think beyond. This is what industry can do and this is what we can do. So let us look at that. That's the first thing that. The second one is, many of the panelists were talking about beyond the books. So that means engaging the students beyond the classroom is very, very essential factor. About 15 years ago, we wanted to engage all our students beyond the classroom. We allowed them to form tech teams. I still remember while I was director engineering and technology, a student of mine came and told me that, sir, we would like to create a club called as WebOr Club, where every need of the institution, we will take care, we will create a web page, website, that by our students get benefited, and also you should pay revenue from the service for whomsoever is requiring service. So we empowered them. They happen to do every aspect of all our programs. And then, after a certain point of time, they were not able to proceed further. They were not able to provide commercial solutions. They were not able to go for an entrepreneurship to become an entrepreneur. So what we did was, we thought that these students should have a customer-centered approach to solving problems. That's the design thinking. So immediately we took up a task, aligned with School of Design Thinking, sent about 10 of our faculty members for training. They got trained, they came back. They have been nominated as student mentors, resident mentors. They have been mentoring such startups and they have gone up to next level. And today I can say that 168 of our faculty members are trained to teach design thinking course, and this is offered as a compulsory course for all second-year engineering students. So these are the 2 things that I want to share now. Maybe in the next round, I can share a few more. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thanks for bringing about the importance of faculty, because I always feel that because faculty are the key link for the students, and we kind of tend to think of them as the last resort when we want to implement our ideas, and the whole process and practice of ensuring they have a close relationship with the industry, getting them trained and upgrading themselves on a regular basis is something very appreciable that you're doing, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So now that, like, sir, as I go on to you, my next question to you would be, like, we are in the process of training faculty. And in terms of assessments, we have heard various feedback, various thoughts on how assessments should be at higher education institutions as well as at the school level. What are some of your thoughts in terms of the changes given the constraints which we have in terms of assessments, like, in terms of the statutory and regulatory bodies, what are some innovative assessment and evaluation processes which you think we can do at the institutional level in order to get our students ready? Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for a very important question. In fact, as you told that you give yourself introduction.
Please, sir.
I joined as a Vice Chancellor in Sri Balaji Vidyapeeth, Pondicherry, just a few months ago, roughly.
A bit
in
closer,
February.
sir. A bit closer,
Yeah,
please, sir.
8 months ago. But before that, I was around 8 years worked as Director and Vice Chancellor in Indira Gandhi Institute of Medical Science in Patna. And before that, I was professor in AIIMS, New Delhi. So basically, I am a medical doctor, turned professor, and turned now as an administrator here. Precisely in this very quickly, a lot of development happens in medical education, as well as in other education also. And that's why this national education policy developed. So initially, after independence, it happens in 1966, that Kothari Commission, you know all of that. And the first NEP happened in 1968. And after that, in 1986, the second commission happened. And finally, after 34 years, it was stagnant. And recently, in 2020, this the Kasturanga Committee, and they have developed that abrupt change in the all education as well as the assessment, as you have told that, how we can do the innovation in the assessment procedure. In this all committee, they have pointed out the basic pillars of this education, like equity, the quality of education, then affordability, employability, means if the students get some skill or some knowledge, so how they will be employed for the country's development, and the accountability of that. So those are the pillars of this. So to make a vibrant and sustainable development of the country, as our Honorable Prime Minister is telling that we have to be in the next decade Vishwaguru in education and in all other points, so that we have to be adapted to that. Now, as you have pointed out, how to assess the students' knowledge, because a lot of explosion of knowledge in very recently. And we have to tell, as it was discussed earlier also, that now it is not that earlier teacher. In our time when we were a student, so teacher used to come in the class and we were silent, so in chalk dusters, so they are giving some knowledge and we are noting down. But now it should be in a two-way. The student should give more importance what they actually want. And there is explosion of knowledge, and the student can get through Googles, through internet. So, but our job as a teacher should be how much to learn, what is the priority of learning. So, as a facilitator, not like as a teacher, as a friend. Rather, when I was teaching in AIIMS New Delhi, I used to tell, because AIIMS, they are the best, so no need to spoon-fed to them. But we used to tell them, okay, you tell it, you tell it, it will it. So I was just sitting there. And if there is any mistake, I just pointed out, so this is correct, this is correct. And rather we learn from the students, because they are learning every day, and we are not to be outdated. So precisely during assessment also, we have to make some innovative idea. Like say in our system in medicine, skill is also very important. Of course, in all science, skill. So what you see, the theoretical knowledge, and what you see, the symptom signs of the patients, and how to elicit that. So both should be corroborated. Unless like book is the store of knowledge and patient is the skill. So you go there, go to the ward and see the patient's symptoms. So that will be lifelong learning. So along with that, the students, doctor, they should, because the world is changing. There is a lot of expectation from the patient community. So they need good attention from the patients, and they want that the work or the value for their money, they are great expectations. So these students should be lifelong learner, and they should know the moral value, moral, ethical, already was discussed. Then sympathy, empathy, and communication is also important. How to communicate with the patients, their relatives, that is very important. And those who are not trained, so we have to upskilling and reskilling. Those who have learned, say, 20 years ago, so it is totally outdated now. Artificial intelligence, robotic science, all this technology should be employed in the medical education also. And so earlier it was, we used to take question paper, okay, 20 marks, like, write an essay. You don't know what they have written. So, and there is a joke that they have asked some question, and one line they have, say, glomerulonephritis, or say some other kidney problem, and the whole page they have written gastroenteritis. So the teacher will be, sometimes they just count the pages and give the marks. But now this is totally changed. Now you have to assess them practically what they have learned, and you have to assess them in a different way. Either do MCQ question or give some case. Okay, so this is your case, this is the liver is so 5-inch shaft, so what should be the diagnosis, how you do the treatment, so it is a medical, surgical, and that gives the correct judgment of the knowledge. So the different way of treatment and the diagnosis, so as a medical student should learn. I think I have justified my
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
I really like your point about having real-world cases. I think this is something which institutions are starting right now, and I think eventually that would help in terms of assessing the students as well. Thank you very much again, sir.
Okay.
Before I ask a question to you, Bhavani Shankar sir, I'll just like to share a personal thing to you. So in 2003, I was a student at Chetnad Vidyashram in class 10, and you were the principal then. So it's nice to be here on the panel moderating you.
Were you ever called to his office for the wrong reason?
No, thankfully not. Thankfully not. I was one of the toppers of the school, and I got an award from sir as well.
Anywhere in the city, when we meet, somebody will come up to him and say, I was your student. So
Exactly.
it's not uncommon.
So it's my pleasure to interact with you right now, sir. So my question to you, sir, is about interdisciplinarity. So right now, especially when we look at society, the lines between domains of knowledge, especially domains of study, is blurring. And at the school level and also at the higher educational level, we tend to focus on our silos. Physics teacher comes, talks only about physics. Maths, they talk only about maths. And the interdisciplinarity between the subjects at the school level as well at the college level, at the higher education level, is something which we are exploring, but still we are not able to deliver, especially in terms of interdisciplinarity. What are some of your thoughts on how we can deliver interdisciplinary education to the students?
For the benefit of the others, so I'm Bhavani Shankar, now I'm the director at Omega International Schools. It's a very interesting poster, but then as I was listening to all the fellow panelists here who are sitting and expressing their views, so some words sort of started spinning in my head. So one was relevance. So continuously, so there was a recall of relevance. The next one was skills. So the third one obviously was change. So if we seek to marry all of this at some point in time, we'll park that idea for now and look at the embedded interdisciplinarity in things. So you can't wish away. Every experience that you seek, every happening of the day, every real life situation is woven to several disciplines. I would say it would be a dumbed down effort that we seek to achieve at school to address each of these in silos. So the languages or the humanities or the mathematics or computational sciences, the sciences or any other field that we refer to as a core aspect of study is simply woven to one another. Only thing that we need to do is to sit and pause. I would definitely refer to the choice of learning that which emerges from the learner himself or herself. Sorry that I'm keeping it binary, the gender now. We are not supposed to do that. So I would say when you open this opportunity to the children, I would take a very curious example that happened. Some of my friends here already know about this example. Sorry, I'm repeating it. This was with class 4 students. Then when I walked in and I asked them, I was substituting for a mathematics teacher. So when I went into the classroom and asked them if they knew all the mathematical functions, and they said yes, I was quick to ask them, can you share your assessment and assignment sheets? In the assessment and assignment sheets, I could see that the teacher had an elaborate system of trying to refer to all that is possible to try and understand whether the children knew about the basic mathematical functions of addition, multiplication, subtraction, and division. So the question that emerged was, is there a fair way to assess this information from the children? And how do we seek to understand from their own learning as to how they would like to approach their own commitment to this particular concept learning? So when we asked them, they said yes, they knew. And the interesting thought that emerged was, why do we have to ask them questions? Why don't the teachers give them answers and ask the children to frame questions? So it was not, although, see, the idea was contextually set to mathematics. So the question that I posed to them was like, okay, 1,000 is the answer. So you know all these different ways to arrive at 1,000. So can you please frame your own questions? So it needs to bring out the fact that you have understood the basic mathematical functions. And here I could notice a boy very, very fast. He came back and then he said, see, 999 plus 1 is equal to 1,000. 1,001 minus 1 is equal to 1,000. 1,000 into 1 is equal to 1,000. 1,000 divided by 1 is equal to 1,000. He was actually, taking a shortcut. I mean, he demonstrated his ability to do something, but in the process, something emerged was his situational intelligence and getting smart. So the embedded, let us say, ability to transact information which is situationally intelligent was a new learning that came to me. And then, what is a millennia? So the question migrated from mathematics to the aspect of 1,000 years. So it was unintended. I'm just saying that I did not shape this to have it as an intention, but then it was unintended, but the outcomes were magical. Now, if I sit back as an educator and look at the possibilities that emerge for this embedded multidisciplinarity or interdisciplinarity, it is already evident. So I'm just taking this as one example. So we moved on with this exercise. So the overall purpose of this, let us say, seed of thought that you place, if there is interdisciplinarity embedded, would it be fair for all the schools to seek this information through real-life experiences? If we would park the conventional ways of transaction inside the classroom and spend, I'm sorry, I'm going to blame the school heads and the general construct of what we call the timetable that determines, what we do and how we do transactions in the school. So if we only park that and say that spend maybe about 70% of the time in planning for instruction rather than doing with the transactions, I'm certain that the teachers would come up with brilliant ideas. So there is no limiting these ideas. They will come up with brilliant ideas. And only because, So you are asking them to retell or parrot instruction continuously. The teachers are not able to do this at schools. See, my personal observation and take is that give the teachers the autonomy to take on instruction and you will see magic unfold. So my closing statements, see the language that emerged, I would say one of the most important aspects of this 20th century capabilities or skills would be change readiness. So if I don't know what's going to happen 4 years from now, Dr. Baruja says that 6 months down, the assessments that you took would not be relevant anymore. So skills need to be transferred to make them relevant. And most importantly, that what I see in students, one aspect that they're losing out is their ability to bounce back. I think all these skills that we are talking about will have to be piggybacked on resilience. So that, I would say, would clearly shape this environment of education. So God bless you all.
Thank you, sir. So I'll move on to Mr. Thiagu Velliyappa next. So he's a person who sits on both sides of the table. Like, he's also part of industry. At the same time, he also has educational institutions. So in your experience, or rather, how do you think industry and academia can come together for the benefit of the students who are our major stakeholders?
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Anand, and good afternoon, good morning to all of you and all of us. And it's nice to be here today. As you already said, there's lots been said. So before I really get down to actually what we're doing, let me just introduce myself. Thiagu Velliyappa, come from a very strong business and education background, 100 years in business, 66 years in education. And we've been there and, trying to do, make a difference to it, because one of the things that we've coined is education should become a superpower. Superpower. Because the quality of education can only be when you have a superpower in it. So we've started something called the 3T technology, tomorrow's technology today. So we take what's happening in the industry, and one of the ways that we go about, take challenges into opportunities and try and take it to the next level. So what most of us have been in most of the Chamber of Commerce's as leaders and been in the committees and things like that. So we understand the industry very clearly. And what is really happening is the industry, I can tell you, in every platform, let it be the CII, let it be the Bangalore Chamber, let it be the MMA, let it be the Employees Federation, every single platform we have at least 15 minutes of academia spoken on it. So they want to get into academia. It's become, before it used to be the academia wants to get into industry, but now it's the industry wants to get into academia. And especially the deemed universities or so-called autonomous colleges have the huge opportunity because we have a board of studies and we have various platforms where they can play a big role in it. And this is something which is very welcome today. And today, when you look at some of the sectors which are evolving so fast, I call this generation the AI generation. So the children today, let it be a 15-year-old or a 20-year-old, are so fast. Our teachers are having a problem keeping up to them. So that's going to be the biggest challenge. How are you going to get your teaching faculties in place? So from the industry side, what I can tell you is the industry is seriously looking at reducing cost. So when you look at something called the total cost of ownership, many of them have spoken. But what I'm trying to say is 6 months or 1 year in industry is equal to divided by 3 in an education institute. So it's 3 times more cost in an industry. So why would someone want to take somebody, pay them a good handsome salary of 5 lakhs or 8 lakhs or 10 lakhs and keep them irrelevant to productivity for 1 year? So they're literally losing that 8 lakhs or 5 lakhs or whatever they're paying. So why don't we look at, bringing this into the system? So, all of us have been there, done that. Maybe 5-7 years ago, there used to be finishing schools who will come and teach you for 3 days. So we spent crores on that. So when Bill came to me, I actually sat across and said, the person who gets placed, I'll give you double what you're asking me. But a person who does not get placed, I will give you 250 rupees just for an operation cost. He said, no, how can I work like that? I said, if I'm going to give you 1,000 students and I'm going to be spending 2,000 rupees, it's a lot of money I'm giving you and you're not giving me anything in return. So I looked at it like a businessman. He said, no, it's not going to work. Then we set our own training systems in place. So what we've really done is, where the 3 days matters, we've taken it to 3 years. So we started off that in first year itself. So by the time the person comes to a third year, he or she is industry ready. So there's live projects, there's live, problem solving. So we created a company which actually takes problems from industry. And I head that company called Sonastar Innovation. So basically, we have problems in plenty. Industry has problems in plenty. So, and the youngsters of today have the capability, I think many have alluded to the fact that they have the capability of addressing. So today's student is actually, today is 30 years old. So he's got the ability of that kind of a potential. So I think we are losing out on the concept of using, sometimes when we really look at it as educators, suddenly he's worth 7 lakhs, but yesterday he's worth 0. Somehow it doesn't fit the bill. I mean, he's at least worth 2 lakhs or 5 lakhs or 3 lakhs. So I think the internship model can be a very big, game changer going forward. Because I think someone spoke about the hospital versus the medical college. That should be some of the ways that we should probably align ourselves forward. Because that would be like, I just imagine, I'm just putting it more colloquially. Imagine if someone like Virat Kohli had played football. You wouldn't have been a Virat Kohli. So if you really see what is the capability, competency mapping is missing out today. So we don't have strength in competency mapping. So we need HR practices other than just being placement officers or being, recruiters or something to look at competency mapping. Because we are talking about a mindset engineering, which we work a lot on. And I'm happy that we've been doing things out of the box, doing yoga and things like that continuously. And you work on the mindset. So if you train the mind, you train the soul.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tyagu. Some really great and different initiatives which you have been doing at your institutions, and I'm sure we'd love to hear more of it, in different venues as well. Thank you very much again. So, Shekhar sir, since I wanted to ask a controversial, or rather, in the futuristical question to you, is that now, the focus on skill-based education, critical thinking, multidisciplinarity, do you feel the whole traditional idea of a regulatory system, a degree, is still relevant? And if so, because we are all educators over here and this is our bread and butter. So in that case, how do you think we have to equip ourselves if the relevance of a degree, if the relevance of say a +2 examination goes away in the future, and the focus, because right now, I have HRs who are coming to my own campus and they say, I don't bother about the number of arrears student has. I don't bother about his CGP. I don't care about his 10th marks and 12th marks. As long as he is competent, I'm willing to hire and train him. So with that case, do you think, and now especially with multiple entry, multiple exit, we are giving the option of students to leave the campus at any point of time, work, and then come back into the campus. So as educational institutions, we take pride that students are with us for a long period of time, and we plan activities in such a way. So with this change in the real world which is happening, how do you think we should kind of react or be proactive to that?
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your question. First of all, thank you, QS, for getting us. And QS is Sejal here, is Ravin here. Who made the city? And who made the system of questions? I kept writing down, I said, okay, I'll talk about this point. She covered it. I talked about another point. He covered it. And by the time I came here, I've got nothing to say. That's the first point. And I have my full empathies for the rest of them who are here. That is one. Secondly, here, context. I was watching, we are about 100, 150. How many of us have been fiddling with our phones? Talking to our wives, girlfriends, or boyfriends. It's an attention problem we all have. And 3 is, we all like to pontificate, change the world. Next thing, I am Mahavishnu, Shiva, as well as Jesus Christ. We will change the world. So I'll come with that point. First, truth, lies, and bullshit. How truthful are we? How much lies we do? How much bullshit we do? Bullshit is what Donald Trump does, and he's succeeding. So, is there some scope for bullshit in academia? We are examples of that. Lots of us are bullshitting. I am also doing it. First point. Second, I've come from the armed forces. I believe armed forces is more flexible. Our schools and colleges are not. And I say it with a belief that what I'm saying is right. In the army also, we are trained, we are done all of this, but the moment the first bullet is fired, we are expected to be creative. Right through you are told, do this, Savdan, Vishram, etc. Then suddenly when the first bullet says, you bloody hell, where is your creativity? Second point. Third, as we are here, I call two terms, which is in Hindi. I'm not sure whether Mr. Stalin will agree. I call essays and DAs. Essays are Sukhi Atmas, DAs are Dukhi Atmas. How many of us sitting here listening to all of us giving log lectures are Sukhi Atmas? The same situation our students go through. We like to talk, we hardly like to listen. Point number 4. Truth, somebody talked about trust, truth, etc. I'm sorry, in the civilian space in India, trust is a huge casualty. In the armed forces, when you go in, Colonel Shekhar or Captain Shekhar, you are trusted till you make a mistake. In the civilian space, the army tolerated me for 22 years. The civilian space has managed for 16 years. I have some balance. Don't talk about my wife. She has tolerated me for 33 years. We'll go to the core of the problem. In the armed forces, you are trusted unless proved wrong. In the civilian space, sorry for the language, Salah, let the bloody guy prove himself. Then we will respect him or her. That's a significant challenge. Somebody talked about trust. The other aspect which I say, teachers, the Indian Army changes faster, teachers change slower. We do not want to change. As Bhavani Shankar said, we are part of the problem. The teacher wants to stay in his or her comfort zone. And there is a reason for it. I'm only talking about the education space K to 12. I'm not talking about colleges. All of you have spoken even better. The average teacher who is a woman is first a mother, then a daughter-in-law, then a spouse, a husband, then a teacher. If she is able to devote 50% of her time to the school, we will be better than Harvard and Stanford. I promise you that. But presently what happens is, she comes to the school with this load of problems. Think about innovation. Think about creativity. Pagal kutte ne do baar kaat ke rakha hai ki I should do that. Listen to what the principal says and get on with it. Issue number 1. Issue number 2. Dr. Manimekla is here. Every one of you. How many school or college managements give freedom to the establishments? How many of us believe in trust, mentoring? We want control. Everyone. And that's part of India. Whether it is Mr. Modi or Mr. Stalin or Pinarayi Vijayan, everyone wants to control. So within a controlling system, where do we have creativity and innovation? Another point, in the armed forces, you'll be surprised. We have much more freedom to talk. We challenge our superiors. I am from the education space. As an operations officer, we have challenged our superiors. They have accepted it. Here, you question your boss and see what happens. Jesus Christ and Lord Yama will come together visiting you. So, let's be clear. Let us also understand, and I wanted to ask the learned doctor, what about 0 percentile, sir, which has been introduced now? So that means that any zero can come in. Imagine a 0 percentile MDS person doing your root canal, sir. So he will become Lord Yama for yourself. So that's that. So let us not close our eyes and be politically correct. That's my first point. Second, change will happen. Of course, it has to happen. We have studied in the second half of the 20th century or the first half of the 21st. We are training our students for a future we don't know after 5 years, for students who are going to live into the 22nd century. But how many of us consult them in decision making? That's the third challenge which I make about. Fourth is our own sense of comfort that we as elders know better, which is a whole lot of nonsense. One more point which was highlighted was that our students are today much better aware. Are they more skilled than before? I disagree. Rohit Sharma has scored 264. Sachin Tendulkar has scored only 200. Is Rohit Sharma better than Tendulkar? Or Kohli better than? As far as we know, the under 4-minute mile was done by Roger Bannister. And today, we have people doing it 3 minutes 20. Was Bannister worse than people today? And my last point, change will happen. I believe in 10 years from today, there will be no school principals. We'll be chief learning officers. 1. 2, schools will have physical education directors more important than the principal. Why? Because all of us are eating fast food so much. India's obesity officially is 25%. Unofficially overweight is 1 in 3 students. We see them in our schools every day. 3, Google and knowledge. If all of you have your mobiles, if you can type Barack Obama Muslim and see how many things you will get. Barack Hussein Obama is a practicing Protestant who has become the president of the United States. Still, 23% of Republican voters believe he's a Muslim. So the teacher now becomes a learning curator. Whatever information you get, it has to be worked out better. And final, and I give you an anecdote real. 2 schools in Delhi. One school, an air-conditioned school, which has got all the facilities. 3 buses, all of them visit Najafgarh, the place where Virendra Sehwag was born. Another corporation school, 3 normal buses of Delhi Transport Corporation, they visit Najafgarh. On their way back, about 5 kilometers from their final location, there is rain. And you know what happens after rain in Delhi? The whole city comes to a standstill. The students of the Delhi Transport Corporation bus, the Delhi Corporation students, got down from the bus, listened to the teachers, walked the next 5 kilometers. The air-conditioned IB school students started screaming, shouting. The entire parent community of those 3 buses did a gharao of the police commissioner. The students refused to walk. Which is the better school? I leave it to you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Sir, I have here only one thing. So here it is not the student who is yelling and shouting, it is the parent. So who is to be corrected here is parent.
The point is both, ma'am. I have had issues where Kiran Bedi was doing a program, hundreds of students, all of them elite. What can you contribute to society, she asked. And the students said, our parents are paying enough tax, so why the hell should we pay more? Issue number 1. Issue number 2, the opposite side of one of the top residential schools in the country. The principal, the headmaster, had said that there will be no beer party for classes 9 and 10 students. They wanted it. A group of 20 parents challenged the principal. These children are not allowing us to stay at home. Please allow this party. Otherwise, they are making life miserable. The problem, madam, is both sides. We have arrogant, moneyed parents who believe that our children should get the best. We have children who believe they are entitled. The issue is a combination of factors, and we are also not realizing the quiet sexual revolution which is happening in India. The stories we know and we hear of is much more. So therefore, the challenge, madam, is not only about the students and only about the parents. It's also about us as organizations who believe that the parent is the customer. Who is the customer? First of all, can schools believe in the concept of customers? The parent is the customer, give all the marks. 100 out of 100, it works. Student is the customer, give the child pornography. So the role of a school, and as we both are, is of shaping the student for a life beyond. First, make him home ready, school ready, college ready, job ready, life ready. So in this whole industry, academy, etc., the 15 years in school is where the child tends to develop the skill sets he requires for a good life. 3 years of 72 weeks of COVID ensured that children did not know how to say good morning. They forgot that. But when we go to college, the colleges will blame the schools. When they get married, the families will blame the college. Right? When they get children, they will blame their parents. God help us. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So you brought up a very interesting point about how we can have our students, faculty, and generally institutions to be more socially responsible. So I'll open that to you, sir. So how do you think, we have talked enough about industries, we've talked enough about curriculum, and as madam told, I'm running out of questions to ask them towards the end.
My sympathies, empathies with all of them. We have all bullshitted so much, they have no bullshit left.
So, in terms of societal responsibility, how do you think as educational institutions we can groom ourselves, our faculty, as well as our students?
So, I'm Dr. K. Bomman Raja.
Yes.
Yeah, I am Dr. K. Bomman Raja, Executive Director of Excel Group Institutions. This question is what you are posing on me is how the educators and the institution as well as students should understand the requirement of the society and how they can able to contribute. One such initiative what we have taken, as Vice Chancellor of SRM University was mentioning about, one course what we did is student has to visit nearby villages because our institution is located in the rural part of Tamil Nadu. That one course during the third year as well as in the final year, the student has to visit nearby villages, study their requirement, make a problem statement, define the solution for it, and they have to present that. Not to us, but to the people of that village, and they will make them to understand how it can be implemented, and finally they are trying to understand whether they could able to contribute for that problem. So such kind of exercise brought us a lot of input, not only from the student side, even the parents and the well-wishers of the organizations. They came forward and they want to elaborate this process, not to confine within the locality of our institution, but let us take it forward. So that is one kind of experience. I think, I don't know why you pose this question to me. I was mentioning that in the point what we are doing. It's a coincidence, it happens. So it's a kind of initiative what we have taken as brought us lot of good ideas. Now what we did was, we are taking that to first year students. So understanding the requirement of society is much more important or much more than the subject knowledge what they are going to study. And another societal point of view what we thought was, the students has to think in an elaborate way, not confined to the curriculum or the syllabus what they are studying. So what we did was, the student must ask only the questions inside the classroom. They will not be taught about this subject or whatever it may be. They will pose a question on the faculty members and it will be addressed. And based on that, some kind of assessment we do. And that too, the kind of questions what they are asking, we have categorized it. So in terms of societal needs, in terms of technology, in terms of innovation, creativity, or whatever, we have categorized into 3 to 4 category, and we are making the students only to ask questions inside the classroom, and it will be addressed by this team of faculty members, not by the single faculty. It will be addressed by the team of. So what at that point of time, students learning is much more better than just by sitting and listening. It goes in the way of discussion, and they are better understanding the requirement of industry or the society, or how they have to go further beyond the classroom, how they have to think out of the box. That kind of enabling we are trying to bring in. And also we made the credit will be awarded before the commencement of the semesters. All will be awarded 10 credit. You take it, whatever you want. We have given already, and it is up to you to retain it at the end of the semester. See, this gives some kind of emotional binding for the students, that we are not here to assess them. We are not here to gauge them, that giving some kind of questions and making them to answer for that particular questions and doing all this business. So already it has been given, you try to retain it. So it brought us some kind of changes among the student community, and they are participating in most of the activities which are relevant to the society, relevant to the industry. Now where the problem arises is that, as far as educators are concerned, we find terrible problem, one in retaining the faculty members in our area. See, people, once they are entering into a teaching profession at the age of, after completing the PG, they are coming at the age of 24 or 25. We are grooming them. Yeah, we are nurturing them. We are allowing them to take their PhD programs, and everything happens. And they may want to move to SRM University or VIT or some good institution. Obviously, it is happening, and every year the retention of the faculty is very difficult for us. One point is retention. Second thing is that level of stress. Nearly, we made an assessment, nearly 93% of the faculty members are undergoing stress. Sir, this is difficult, sir, that is difficult, syllabus is heavy, we could not able to mentor the students in the proper way, as sir was mentioning, family issues, and almost 93% of the faculty members are under stress. And that we need to address in an effective way. And we are finding a lot of ways and means to address the problem by providing them some kind of platform to relax. And we created an area where they can go and recreate for some time, sit peacefully, watch some news or TVs. If they want to get any kind of relaxation, they can do it. We separately created. We are not going and watching them, but we have created that area. Anytime faculty can go, anything they can want to, if they want to take any fresh juices, anything they can have it.
How much is your attrition?
Attrition is coming around 30 to 40%.
That's a common problem.
30% we are facing in the entire group, I am saying. It comes around that much. So retention is very, very difficult, and this kind of activities is one thing. And now making them to understand the digital technology kind of tools what they are using. And that is also once again another challenge we are facing it out. So now the youngsters, the students are very much aware about the usage of electronic gadgets in an effective way compared to the people like us, and they are very effectively using it. So that itself creates some kind of interventions for us. So that itself creates some kind of limitations for us to take it forward. But still what we do is that we are trying to empower the faculty in an effective way by giving a lot of opportunities for them to move across the society, to move across the students' community in a better way. I think probably because of these interactive mechanisms, the managements, faculty and the students and the society, when they do interact with each other, I think we can able to move very easily forward rather restricting ourselves within the campus or within the classroom. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So in the interest of time, I would request the four of you to, one by one, we could have the concluding remarks, because I've been told we need to wind up as well. My apologies again, because given that as educators, we like to talk about, as sir told, talk about what we are doing. Yes.
We stop only after 40 minutes.
40 minutes, exactly. Even though we've been trying to work with time, my apologies. So each one of you, we can take about 2 to 3 minutes each. Give your comments and thoughts on the topic, please. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you, QS, and Sashi, you're doing a fantastic job. I must acknowledge and put on record. My name is Senthil Kumar. I currently work as a Chief Growth Officer at Vinayaka Mission Research Foundation, Deemed University. Prior to joining here, I was with OP Jindal Global University as a founding director, SRM Group of Institution, CUS Global Services, and I was also advisory for Mindler, and I mandated the first 3 All India Bar examination as well. So I've been a huge villain for law students as well. So on that note, let me start my few of my remarks. There have been enough and very pertinent points which have been discussed. I would like to add few, which is on the side of when we say about industry-academia partnership, we more relate to higher education institution, but what are we missing the angle is the higher education and school partnership is also very, very critical. So we are beneficiary. So industries are beneficiary from higher education institution and we are beneficiary from school education. Let's backward integrate and spend more amount of time where students are being formative and shaping up in the foundational years. Let the higher education institution also take an active stake there. That's my humble request. Apart from that, when we talk about one of the core area and close to my heart is assessment. Okay. It is not because I've mandated the bar examination, but it is also one thing which needs serious amount of innovation as well. When we talk about choice-based credit system, we give the choice for a student to design his course, design his curriculum, everything. When it comes to examination, the pen and paper is the only mode of examination. Can we do something which can be innovative for an assessment point of view? Let the student choose his way of assessment is my point of thought and a question. When we talk about building a student for a global citizen, are we also not focusing enough in empowering our own educators in cross-cultural competency, transnational and comparative perspective as well is also very need of the hour. Because we need an outcome who's been a global citizen because we have a very serious aging population across the world. 1/3 of the global workforce is going to come from India. But our educators are fine-tuned in comparative perspective or transnational perspective is a need of an hour. And also, I would like to also bring in one of the strong focus when we say that our students need to be innovators and entrepreneurs. How many of our teachers, we celebrate their innovation and entrepreneurship? Can we say that you can be an entrepreneur and you can also get into classroom and do a deep dive in your experience, share it to students? Let's also develop that culture of that as well. And lastly, I would say that we need to spend some time on helping a student to choose the career planning and assessment because most of the choices are not done by him. We forcefully or we selectively infuse those decisions to him.
That's right.
The first and foremost, the question he asked to come to higher education institution is, so what job I will get after 4 years? Not telling about what is the skill set he brings on, what is his aptitude, what is his personality, what is his area of liking. He straight away jumps into question, what course I should do. I turn the brochure and tell me one bad course. He couldn't answer because there is no bad course as such. There is only good course as long as you can confine yourself and do wonders in this. With this note, I'll end my thank you very much.
Come to my school, run my school for 6 months, and I'm with you for industry partnership. Yeah.
Thank you.
What he mentioned is also the mugging that should be avoided from the school side. The manapadam பண்றது வந்து நிச்சயமா வந்து you should
you come to our school, see what we can do. Yeah, I'm leaving it. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but something else. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for the innovative ideas and thoughts. Malati ma'am, over to you, please.
Thank you. This is Malati representing SRM Public School. I'm the advisor and I'm also the founder of Women Educators League. Thank you everybody for the wonderful insights that you had given. So I have given only 2 minutes and I make use of the 2 minutes effectively. Thank you, Dr. Shekhar. So when we talk about the connect, I think, we were talking about the concept, the whole concept, and it is about empowering educators at the school level, maybe at the university level. Now, I have a question. How many of us in this room, we are all here from the elite schools, but when we travel, I work with quite a lot of rural schools across. How many of our educators, so-called educators with the B.Ed degree are empowered to understand whatever we speak here? You know, at this point of time, it has been, it's such a pain for me when I work with them because, you know, we sit here, we talk about it, we have an industry connect, whereas those children and those teachers are deprived of many things. I think it is very important for us to understand the pain areas. And when it comes to industry, the industrial needs change every minute, isn't it? Maybe I would say it as every minute because, you know, it was Apple which used to release different versions once in a year, is now every 6 months, maybe next 3 months, and then there is a bug update which comes once in 2 days these days. I think it keeps changing. And it is important for us to build, as Bhavani Shankar sir said, resilience in children and make children who are adaptable in the school. Manimegle ma'am beautifully said that, you know, are we prepared? Did we get that enough training? You know, whatever we are doing today in our school days, definitely not. So what needs to be done inside the school is to make them street smart, build common sense into children so that they are able to adapt themselves and prove themselves wherever they are. I think that is very important for us, you know, when we build schools. And my final question, with this question I leave. When we say industry and academia connect at the crossroads, can someone tell me which is the intersection point? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Lovely conclusion. Yeah. Thank you so much, madam. Sir, over to you, please.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity. In fact, so I'm Gopalakrishnan, Principal Caves, Rangasamy College of Technology. In fact, hailing from the rural background, madam was highlighting about it. And I have a couple of points. Yeah. The intersection point, now let me start. So the intersection point, in fact, more than intersection point, it's all about connecting dots. That's what I take it. Because the education, no, we are talking about the future education. But what is the present education? Because there should be some kind of a comparison before we go to the future education. And the point here, we talk about, I represent engineering college. Okay, so for the engineering college, the engineers should be obviously more than, we call it as an education, it's a knowledge-based industry. As far as engineering college is concerned, it should not be knowledge-based. It should be skill-based. So we have a couple of points, like 4 is equal to 40. So the 4 years, it should lead to 40 years of life. So for that, what you have to do in the campus, first of all of you mention about the different curriculum. You just also think about the ecosystem, and you should also think about the ground reality. Because now we are talking about the futuristic things, and we need of AR, VR, and we have to talk about embedded. We have to talk about chip design, VLSI, and we also should know about what actually happening in EV and much more about it. Do we have the infrastructure in all the institutions? So whether the government is now they have started slowly to involving in that aspect, because again the funding is only going to the IITs and NITs, the top-notch institutions. So first of all, my submission here, are we ready with the necessary infrastructure? That's one of the points which I wanted to highlight. The second point, who are our faculty? Because Bommanar sir rightly mentioned, so at the age of 25 years, they step into the college as a faculty, and the kind of a gap between the current student and the faculty who are working with the 15 years of 20 years of experience, the huge gap, they are not able to connect. Their understanding is different. We are not able to make them to listen more than 15 minutes, because the distraction, it gets it's after that too, after the COVID, it's very, very thing. So you just connect at least who are the faculty? Are the faculty from any industries? Are the faculty from the so-called the research institutions, DRDO or ISRO? At least they can spend some time with the institutions. This is the second thing. The third one, what is our assessment system? Are we diagnosing the student properly? Because this is what the point I wanted to tell, the intersection point. So we are not diagnosing the student properly. It's more of checking their memory and giving their CGPA and the marks. So that is the third submission which I wanted to tell. And finally, is this CGPAs and the percentage will help them to lead a better career? With that question, I thank the organizers for given the opportunity. Lot of things, but want of time.
Sure.
So
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I truly think I'm the luckiest.
So you can sum up and like.
They say save the best for the last.
Yes.
But on that note, truly humbled to be here and thank you. I think there is so much of deliberation that has happened, and it comes from a space of experience and personal experience that each of us have had. I think as a privileged lot, we got to sit over here and discuss, but I'm sure all of us here and those who are not present over here also have that immense wealth of experience, and hopefully there'll be a time when we can have those conversations. Kind of wrapping around whatever notes I generally make for myself to take as a learning experience back home, and looking at where we started off in terms of the topic, right? You're looking at the real world dynamics at the crossroad of academia and reality. My thoughts around this is that there is this huge change in the way we are looking at the world on a day-to-day basis. So, and that gets influenced because of a variety of factors, and that's not the point of the discussion now. But we also see, as much as we are having this interconnectedness that is happening, it is also creating an equal level of complexity. So to navigate that complexity is what becomes the need of the hour. And that complexity, again, can be delved into in multiple different ways. One of the things that is common, I think, between all of us over here is that we are operating in a country like India, which is so different from the heart of Chennai to about probably the Kanchipuram district to the Tenkasi or whatever. So even within Tamil Nadu, when you just travel 100 kilometers, you see that it's a very, very diverse and a different population. So understanding and contextualizing as educators, as school or higher education leaders, I think it becomes very important for us to realize the ecosystem in which we are operating, and at the same time realizing that that it adds to the whole picture as well. So you don't operate independently, but you look at it from a national perspective and ultimately from a global perspective as well, because you're preparing the children towards that. So I would only say that the complexities is going to get even more. So becoming networked and having stronger networks is probably the way to go forward. I don't think competition should exist, but collaboration should be the way that we work. And on that note, I'm Priya Dikshit, and I head Akshara Arbol International School. Thank you very much.
We should come together, collaborate rather than compete in order to, because all of us are here to serve the society. Students, parents, alumni, everybody, and we should definitely work together, share our best practices and challenges, and use such forums and many more in order to grow and develop as a whole. Thank you very much, madam. I'll open the floor for 2 questions in the interest of time. If you could, have a mic, or rather, I think all of us can hear each other here. So you can just mention whom you would like to answer the question and what your question is, please.
Yes, sir.
You have perfected the art of bullshitting, so I must really put this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we are good friends on the term bullshit. Yes,
okay,
sir. Please go ahead.
Great. Now, I just give you the family. I'm the grandfather, I have my daughter and son-in-law and my granddaughter. 3 generations, 3 different preferences, and incidentally my granddaughter is from your alma mater, she's studying. My daughter is from your school, right?
Sir, if you could limit it to the question,
now
please.
The question is, how do you manage all this bullshitting in a family with 3 generations, living in the under the same roof? Can you please enlighten this?
Yes, sir.
What mind-boggling.
Yeah, it is great. It is mind-boggling. Presently, sir, I am not yet a grandfather, so I have no experience on that. One, on the lighter side, give me $1 million, I'll tell you. But more importantly, sir, this is a generational thing. You look at Aristotle, you look at Peter the Great, they have always criticized the next generation. Our parents told us that these guys are always on TV and phones. How will they improve? What we are doing, we are telling our next generation, you're always on internet, you won't improve. The challenge, and this is one of the questions we debated in Hyderabad Public School, where I moderated a student panel. They said to us, it is not rocket science to understand us. Our problem, sir, is we look at them through our cultural ideas and preferences. When we were younger, we said we should go out and date a girl. They are now saying we should live with a girl or a boy to know what it is. The change, what is being suggested, we either quoting the Vedas or Sanatana Dharma believe that we are right. We are unwilling to understand that the ground beneath us has moved on faster than the speed of light. 1. 2. We believe that they have to adhere to the morals and standards we believe which is right. We are not giving them any space to understand that they have different preferences. If a girl today, especially in southern India, says she doesn't want to get married, can you imagine the kind of pressure the family will have? And my final answer to is, we ourselves are the problem. I have one wife and 2 daughters. Both our daughters, we were sitting, we have a concept called family meeting. She was in Jain International and I was posted in Leh. So when I came home, the family became energetic and interesting. So my younger daughter, all of 7, said that, Dad, you sit at home and cook for us. Mummy will teach here. We are a happy family. It's my wife who objected, not the children. So we have our standards. We believe how it should be. We are not encouraging our students to ask, why did Yudhishthir play with his wife in the name of Jua? And we are not allowing them ask questions, why is Rama the perfect man when he wants his wife to go through Agni Pariksha? So we are our own problem creators, sir. That is what I would think. Thanks for your question, sir. But if you give me $1 million, I will answer more. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Please,
a
sir.
proper check, sir.
Sir, your question, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This question is to Professor Jamshed. So my question is, at this scenario where we are discussing about excellence and quality in academics and institutions across, whether it is India or the global scenario, is it not pertinent and important that we talk of the mental well-being of the educator first? So how relevant is that in this present context? Over to you, sir.
Is there a person you... Oh, sorry, sir. Please.
Yes, absolutely. Mental health and well-being of the educator. If we don't take care of our own selves, and our teachers don't take care of their own selves, and we don't take care of them, it's a bad example for the students. Every day, I see, and I expect many of you do, the generational shift in consciousness about mental health. I am absolutely delighted to see that our undergraduate students, even ones who come from very modest rural backgrounds, are far more well-informed, far more mature, far more truly understanding of issues of mental health and mental well-being than anybody I can remember in my generation, which is, of course, going back to the 19th century. But there is a clash still in India in terms of the stigma of mental health and well-being. And there again, I think instead of just telling our children, just, buck up and deal with it, and I think we should listen to them, because I think, frankly, on average, they are far more mature than we were at their age. Yes, they're on the internet and they have 1,000 things to distract them, and we have to try and figure that out in education. and GPT, of course, is turning all of education on its head, and we don't really know what to do with that. But absolutely. I see, I'll just be blunt. I think Colonel Sir has encouraged us to be blunt. I won't use the, how many letter word is that, but
I've forgotten, sir.
yeah. Suicide, teen suicide, and college-age suicide is a shocking problem in India. It is shocking. IIT Madras had 4 suicides in 1 semester.
This year, quota 26 and counting, sir.
Has to be, we need to really sit and think about it. One of the problems is that the curriculum has too much information. At the college level, I can tell you there's a lot of evidence. 6 4-credit courses, 7 4-credit courses, which is pretty standard at many engineering institutions, is a recipe for unbearable stress and does not lead to more learning. More courses, more information, does not lead, it's an inverted U-shaped function. After some point, there's diminishing returns. If there are a few students who are really academically oriented and they want that extra challenge and they're doing well, they should be able to take 6 courses, 7 courses. But you look at the Bar Council of India, I'll be very direct, it's like, my apologies, requiring first-year college students to take 6 courses a semester, 7 courses a semester is absurd. And I have yet to see any evidence that leads to being better lawyers. So we need to find ways to model for our students how to lead a balanced life. And that means we need to give our teachers, our faculty, the opportunity, encouragement to lead a balanced life, much more family-friendly policies, ways to encourage women to stay in the workforce, and the students, give them the support. Access to mental health. We recruited a counseling service, estimating we would have a certain amount of utilization. As soon as they started, the utilization was double of what we had contracted with them. And students were saying it's still not enough. Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
so actually this question stems from the very thought that, education, especially the educational institution, is a temple of learning. So when a teacher enters into the classroom, the teacher has to forget what has happened till that moment. But still it has, the cascading effect and how it percolates down to the learner level. So I think it's high time that teachers, start embracing neuroplasticity and tolerance and perseverance, and at the same time, mentally hale and healthy attitude for deliverance of this quality and as well as
thank you, sir. I think, I would like to add some point to it. More than teachers embracing it, I think as educational institutions, be it higher education or school education, it's important for the managements to give a psychological safety to the teachers who are working there. The kind of a stress and pressure in which they are working is definitely making low pace, extended hours of working, missing their families, dignity of labor which is not there. I think that is making them more vulnerable, and then mental well-being is affected. I think if as managements, if you are able to address that and take that into consideration, definitely that will have a percolating effect in the classrooms as well. If teachers are treated well, if their well-being is taken well, if they are given that safety, psychological safety that I'm going to be here, then our attrition level will also reduce. I think, we will see a tremendous change. That was the success of India's education system earlier, and I think we are missing it out now. Thank you.
Perfect.
I think
Thank you.
it's a
Beautiful
need for-
summarization, madam. Thank you very much for that. So I take this opportunity, thank all the panelists for taking the time to be here, and also I thank you as iGauge for giving us this opportunity to be at this forum, interact and share our thoughts. And to end with the Priya Dikshit madam's, let's hope to collaborate further and be sharing as much as possible rather than in our own silos for the betterment of the nation as a whole. Thank you very much to all the panelists and to the audience for being good listeners, which we should be. Thank you very much.
Big round of applause for the moderator.